Good morning, stitching friends. This is Sissy. Thank you so much for your interest. This idea just kind of snowballed. I bought another sampler. Yes, I know, I did it. And I have all these other samplers and sewing boxes. And I was looking at them and thinking, you know what? I really need to share these with other people. And so I'm going to have this sale. And what I'll do, I believe, is I'll just walk around. I have everything out on my dining room table. My assistant, Charlie, is at the ready over there, wondering what the heck I'm doing. I'm going to walk around the table so you can look at what I have, and then I'll walk around again and open these sewing boxes and try to show you what's inside, and then I'll read a little bit about everything on the table. How does that sound? Well, let's get started. Now, if you would PM me if you're interested, I'll be glad to share the prices with you. Some of these things are actually in needlework sewing box and tool books. One I thought was Chinese I found in Gay Ann Rogers' box and book, and it's not. Anyway, let's look around the table, and I have a number on everything. So I'm ready if you are. So here we go. So this is number 1, which is a French sewing box. This beautiful English piece, leather bound with brass fittings, comes with these tools. Here's a little shaker piece. A Sabbath Day Lake sewing box, actually work box is what they're called, with all of the little tools. I don't think they're all quite attached to the sides. Some have come loose, but it's a lovely, lovely piece. It has the strawberry emery, the woven needle book, a waxer, and a tomato pincushion. And that one is actually stamped Sabbath Day Lake on the bottom. Now this little shaker piece doesn't have a stamp saying where it came from. The scissors and tomato and strawberry emery came with it. Now, and it has a lid, which is a lovely asset, but the lid has a crack in it along the grain line, so I'll mention that. So that's another shaker piece. This sewing box, I really had thought it was Chinese. I bought it as Chinese, but turns out I found one just exactly like it right here, and it claims that it is Asian, possibly Indian. So I'll tell you more about that and show you the inside in a minute. This is another little sewing box that I have. I believe it's paper mache. Now, we'll look at some samplers. This is a morning sampler. If you collect morning samplers, I'm going to basically give this one away for the cost of shipping. I bought a bundle of samplers at an auction, and this one was in it. It has a black binding, which is appropriate, and it talks about my father, Andrew Overpack, tells when he was born in 1756 and where he was, and that he was buried in 1814. And it says, and the tax, it means text. The funeral text was Psalms 103. So again, you know, it's a sweet, very simple cross-stitch morning sampler, and that one pretty much is available for the cost of shipping. So now we'll go on here. This is a precious English sampler made by Sophia Dowling. I'll tell a little more about that. Let's see if I can get a close-up. The cottage is absolutely charming. It has a little scene here, French knots and cross-stitch. The border is a lovely satin carnation border like I have on some of my other samplers. The tree, See if I can get closer there. Looks like French knots, and there's a little fella sitting happily by his cottage. A sweet, sweet verse. I did find history of Sophia Dowling. Her teacher was Mrs. Lewis Wookie, 1833. I'll tell you a little more about that. Now, this is a sampler I bought a long time ago from Madalena. This is not a good picture, but let me go down closer. It's English by Anne Hearst, and it's number 10. I thought it was charming. There's a woman on the sampler and a beautiful house with a garden. Sorry for the glare, but it has birds and sheep and dogs. Pretty good colors, although they've naturally faded somewhat. So let's see if I can get far away. So that is Anne Hearst, 1849. And then this is Anne Felgate, age 10, November 4th, 1846. Very pretty sampler with rosebuds. There we go. All right, and then this is the last sampler. This is number 12. This is by Rachel Wade, and I do have some history. This is an American sampler from Virginia, and she's used, let's see if I can get close enough, four-sided stitch, cross stitch, Algerian eyelet, and she has a queen stitch band there. And there is the Jesus permit verse we see so often on samplers. Okay, now let me go around here and open these boxes. This French sewing box comes with Berlin woolwork patterns. They're slipped into the back, and let's see, there's what is that, a lace pattern, beads, buttons, wools, and there's another pattern of charts right there. So this is the French sewing box, and it is number 1. Okay, now let me open number 2. This is such a pretty sewing box. And the tools are, I'm not sure if they're bone. I think they're bone based on the lines in them. And this is what came with them, sewing needles. And this says MAW, Mache waterproof court plaster. Let's see if I can open that. It has a little thing, oops, of plasters that slips inside, and this is the inside of this sewing box. Isn't that lovely? It's in very good condition. It has a waxer and 2 little vanity bottles inside and a silver thimble, and the tools would go on the top, and then it has a little storage compartment and a built-in pin cushion, and it came with 2 black-topped glass pins, possibly for mourning. So that is number 2. And I have several little shaker-made box little kits. So let me open this one. This one has pink brocade pocket on the inside and a beautiful little closure right there. It slips into that metal piece. And it has precious little edged needle pages and 2 built-in pin cushions with pins in the box area. Looks like She wore out this one a little bit, but it's a lovely little piece. I have several of these and decided I should share. So that is number 3. And then the Sabbath Day Lake sewing workbox is number 4. Get it close up. The little ribbons that tied things to the edges have come loose. The strawberry's pretty frayed. And the waxer has come loose, and so has the tomato. But it's a lovely box. And then this is the other shaker piece. It's lined, and the box is in good condition. The lid is not. So this is number 5, and you can see where the lid has split right along that line. But that's another shaker piece. Let me move it over so I can open this box. So this one is very, very interesting. There's one exactly like it. I was surprised to see. I was looking last night thinking, how do I describe these? And I found one just exactly like it. So let me open that, give you a close-up of the carving. Now, apparently it has ivory in the top, and some of that is missing. Let's see. Where is it missing? Right. Oh, around the outer edge. There we go. Apparently it was like that. And when you open this one, oops, I need 2 hands. My assistant is asleep now. Okay, so this is the inside. That top piece does not lift out, it's just decorative. But the bottom is a carved tray, and it does lift out. And look at these. I'll read you the descriptions of them. I can't film and read all at the same time, but this is what they all look like. Kind of interesting shaped and very pretty mosaics on the tops of several of them. And it looks like that one, the mosaic, is missing. And it has 10 compartments. Let me open one of the... So the little compartments lift up. There's a built-in pin cushion. And then it has this strap. And all of these little areas do open. Let's open another one. And the whole tray lifts up. Oops, let's see if I can do it without dropping the whole thing. And there's a compartment inside, lined with some red velvet. So that's that one. And that is number 6. And it's on, what is that, page 29 of this book by Gay Ann Rogers. Oh, right, and number 7 sewing box has a sweet, I think it's paper mache. And it has nothing inside. And look, the silk lining is quite damaged. There are no tools. And this little piece, interestingly, it would lift off. It would open up so you could have access to what was stored inside. So there we go. Those are all the pieces. No pressure if you have wanted to add to your collection. I'm delighted to share with you. You can PM me for pricing. Let's see. I'll read a little bit about these while I have your attention, and I'll focus on some if I can do both. My Vanna is asleep now. So this is a French, I'm going to mispronounce this, mercerie paper sewing box lined with paper containing Berlin woolwork charts, beads, wool, scissors, needles, and other sewing materials inside. So there you can see that one again. The charts are just slipped into the back side of that. And then that is number 1. Number 2 is a leather box style sewing roll. Whoops, I've messed them up. Number 2 is a leather English vanity sewing box with brass fittings, and it has silk interior with 5 matching carved bone and steel tools, plus an earwax spoon and all, 2 needle packets, and a waterproof quart plaster container. Let's get closer to that one. So that's number 2. It has a waxer and a silver thimble inside, and 2 little glass jars, a pin cushion, and these are the contents. Okay, and then number 3 is the leather box style sewing roll, possibly shaker made, lined with silk brocade and silk, with 2 built-in pin cushions in the box area, and the pretty metal clasp still works. Let's see if I can open that one again for you. Let's see. Here you go. I love the little clasp. Okay. And then, let's see. We have this number 4, the Sabbath Day Lake, Maine shaker sewing workbox, green silk lining, with a needle book, strawberry emery, tomato pin cushion, and a waxer. And the strawberry emery is barely holding together there on the ribbon, and the tomato and waxer are loose, but it is stamped Sabbath Day Lake, Maine on the back. And then we have another shaker workbox. Let's see, it doesn't have a stamp to show where it was made. It has a top lid, which it's sitting on now that I showed you, it's cracked. And it came with the scissors and emery and tomato inside. Let's see what the other side of this tomato looks like. Not great. Silk is shattered. Take these out and let's look at the box and that. It has the little holes for the ribbons to go through. Okay, so that one is number 5. This one is number 4. And then we have number 6. I better look back at my notes. All right, so again, it was sold to me as Chinese, but I looked it up and was so surprised to see one exactly like it in Gayanne Rogers' book, Illustrated History of Needlework Tools, and it's described as an Asian/Indian marquetry and ivory sewing box circa 1830. It contains 10 carved compartments set into a removable tray with several mosaic and ivory components. I'm not really sure what they are. You probably may know better than I what to call the things. And the tray lifts out and shows an inner red velvet lined storage area. And then we have the late 19th century papier-mâché fitted vanity sewing box. There are no tools and the silk lining inside is very damaged. The tool area does flip up for better access to storage. And then we'll move on to samplers. Number 8, Andrew Overcash. If you have a morning sampler collection, this would be a sweet little addition. It's very simple, and again, basically, when you PM me, the cost will probably, it's about shipping, because I would love for this one to find a good home. That's number 8. And let me reach over and close this sewing box so we can look at Sophia. All right, so Sophia Dowling of England made this sampler November 9th, 1833, under the guidance of Mrs. Lewis Wookey. The threads are silk. It's framed in a gilt effect Regency style frame that may not be original. It came to me like this, but could have been reframed at some point. The sampler has a charming cottage scene and a verse titled The Happy Cottager. It has a lovely carnation satin stitch border. Other stitches are French knots and cross stitch. According to my research, Sophia made this sampler when she was 14 and she died the following year. Very sweet sampler. The size is, and this includes the frame, it's 16 inches by 21 inches. So that is Sophia Dowling. I love that little cottage. There it is. Okay. And now, this is Anne Hearst. Anne was 19 when she made this sampler in 1849. I love the peacock standing on top of the house. Peacocks, of course, symbolize immortality. So there you go. It is protecting the home. The stitches include cross stitch and Algerian eyelet, and motifs have the house and garden with dogs, flowers, trees, rabbit, sheep, and lambs, of course the peacock, birds, and a woman. This is a pretty good size sampler. It's 21.5 inches high and 19 inches wide framed. That's number 10. And then we have Anne Felgate. I love fences on samplers, and that tree looks like ones that I have seen on Scottish samplers, but I believe this is English. She was 10 when she made this sampler, and let's see, charming silk on linen with a picket fence flanked by flower arrangements, and it has butterflies. You know how I feel about butterflies if you know me at all. I have several butterfly eggs out on the porch right now that will hopefully, hatch soon and be in their caterpillar stage, and then on to zebra swallowtail butterflies. But that is number 11, Anne Felgate, 1846. And then the last sampler is number 12. This is Rachel Wade. It's an 1835 American schoolgirl sampler featuring the Jesus Permit verse. Let's see, stitches include cross stitch, four-sided stitch, Algerian eyelets, and queen stitch. I love queen stitch, and look, she included that in a band right there. Let's see, it's framed in a bird's eye burl frame. It probably isn't original to the sampler. Someone framed this along the way before it came to me. And the person I bought it from sent records indicating that Rachel Wade was a member of the Wade Ferris family of Washington County, Virginia. So there is that sampler. Okay, well, hopefully this video will load and I will put it up on the Our Sampler Years website. Krista graciously said it was fine to post antiques for sale. So here we go. Here's one last little pass. Please PM me if you're interested and I'll send you prices. Again, the prices will include shipping to you. I'm only doing shipping within the United States. So again, thank you so much for your interest. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a lovely day. Bye-bye.